Hello everyone, this is going to be a quick video about how to use Google Forms and more specifically an add-on called Flubaroo. Now what this allows you to do is it allows you to create online quizzes through Google Forms and then allows you to grade them automatically with this little program called Flubaroo. So it's super handy for quizzes and stuff like that where you want students to get some immediate feedback and you also want to lessen the grading load on yourself. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and open up a window and I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to Google Drive and I'm going to show you how to create a form and how to create Flubaroo or use Flubaroo to grade it. So if you go to New, go to More, you create Google Form. Now what Google Form does is it sends questions to anyone else with a Google account, or it doesn't have to be someone with a Google account, but it sends questions to somebody, they answer those questions, it collects those responses in a spreadsheet. Then you use Flubaroo to sort of analyze those responses in the spreadsheet. But there are a couple tips here that I want to make sure that you know to get this set up correctly. So this is going to be called Flubaroo Test 1, in case I mess this up and have to do another take. Then you see these form settings up here at the top. Now this is something that's specific to Google Apps for Education. So if you don't have a Google Apps for Education domain, you might not get all of these options. But what it allows you to do is it says required US WCJSHS department login to view the form. Good. I want people to be logged into their school email while they take this, right? I also want it to automatically collect their username, and I only want one response per person. That way students can't take this multiple times. They take it once, I know who they are, and I know that they're using their school email address. It makes things pretty simple. Now, Google Forms allows you to ask all sorts of different questions, but the basic options are right here: text, paragraph text, multiple choice. Now this is the type of question that Flubaroo can grade. Of course, it can't grade a text response unless it was word for word correct, so you don't really want to mess with that. But for a multiple choice question, it's pretty easy. So what is my favorite color? So you type up the question title, you can give a little bit of help text, right? Then you just give them the options: blue, red, green, yellow. Pretty simple. But you do want to make sure that you click required question. Okay, required question. Then you want to add in another item. You just select which kind of question you want. All right, so again, another simple multiple choice question. Who wrote Lonesome Dove? If I could spell, this would be much better. So who wrote Lonesome Dove? You give them the options you want. You could have as many or as few as you wish. It's pretty simple. I know that this is probably a little maddening because you obviously know how to do this. Let me just finish this one out real quick. And then I will pause. I'm going to pause, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a few more questions just so you can see how this works. Okay, everyone, so I've set up a few different multiple choice questions, and I've also set up one with paragraph text so that you can see how that looks here in just a minute. So now you have your questions. If you want to get fancy, you can go up here and go to change theme, and you can make it look a little bit better, look a little bit nicer. I don't really mess with that too much, so we'll just go back to edit questions. So now that you have this done, you need to send this form out. So if you go down to the bottom, you have all your questions. The confirmation page is what they're going to see when they're done. Your response has been recorded. They, of course, won't be able to submit another response because it's one response per person. And you're probably not going to want to publish and show a public link to the form results. You don't want to do any of that. So what you need to do is just send the form. Now you get a couple cool options here. You can use this link. You can even get a shorter link if you want. That way you can post it in Google Classroom or on your class blog, or even you could even write it down on the board, I guess, and have them go there and take the quiz. Or you can just send it directly to their email. So the one thing that you need to remember is that for Flubaroo to work, you need to be sure that you send the form to yourself so that you can create a key of the responses. So I'm just going to send this form to myself and a couple other fake students, and then we'll actually look and take the quiz together just to see how it looks real quick. Okay, so as you can see, I've put my name in here, and I've actually put a couple other fake students in here. But one thing I will caution against is this little box right here, include form and email. You're going to want to make sure that you don't do that. You want to make sure that students aren't answering the form in their email, because a lot of times they'll fill out, what they do is they fill out the form in their email, and then they'll click submit, but it takes them to the form online, and they have to click submit again, and sometimes that gets tricky and some responses get lost. So make sure that that's not clicked. you have the subject, you can put the name of the quiz. You can also add in a message like take this quiz by X date, right? So you just click send. You click send and it emails that to everybody, and we'll go ahead and jump over and I get the same email. So this is from me, but it gives me the quiz. This is what it looks like. I've invited you to fill out the form. You can click on that and it's pretty simple. And what I'm doing right now with Flubaroo is I'm actually creating the key. I'm creating the key for these questions, and it's pretty easy. Students know how to do this pretty intuitively. You can even select send me a copy of my own responses if the student gets paranoid and wants to be sure that they submitted the right things. We're not going to mess with that there. So I've submitted one response. I'm going to jump over to a couple other student emails and take the fake quiz so that we can have a few more responses. Okay, everybody, so what I've done is I've taken the quiz myself to create a key, and I've also created a couple fake responses. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump back over to the form, and what you can see is that there are 3 responses. So if we click view responses, it'll open up this spreadsheet, and you'll see how it corresponds to the quiz, where it says the name and then it says responses. All right, so it also has the timestamp of when these things were submitted. Now, the one bad thing is, and I forgot this about Flubaroo, so you'll want to pay attention to this, is you have to make sure that you create it almost perfectly in order the first time, otherwise things get jumped out at, some things for some reason got jumped out of order here. But that's okay, it's not going to really matter too much. It'll all work out in the end. But you see the different questions in these different columns, and you also see that the usernames were collected. But for add-ons, you're going to have to go to add-ons, and then you'll have to search Flubaroo. I've actually added Flubaroo before. I just enable it in this sheet, so to speak, and then say continue. Pretty easy. It'll give you request for permission. Just say accept to that, and it works pretty fast. It works it works pretty seamlessly. Okay, so once it's all enabled, you go back to add-ons. You go to Flubaroo, and you say grade this assignment. Now, it gives you some cool options here as far as how to set things up. Now, you have different point levels, and you can also say identify student or skip grading. So you can say, we'll just keep everything 1 point. Of course, username identifies a student. What is your favorite book and why? It can't grade that, so you're going to want to set that one up to skip that one. So this is really just a 4-point quiz. So if I say continue, the next step is going to be selecting the key. Who took this that created the key? Of course, I did, so that's my email. So I select that one as the key. Say continue on, and it's going to grade my assignment. And it looks pretty awesome. You can always view the grade. So you have the student submissions, but then it creates this other sheet that gives the total points that the student earned, the percentage grade, times they submitted, if the email has been graded or not, and then it gives a breakdown on which questions were right and which questions were wrong. And it'll actually even show you where the responses somehow were dipping below an acceptable percentage, and those questions are questions that a lot of students missed. And then you also have this one that wasn't graded. So if you did want to grade the question that wasn't graded, you'd actually have to go back in there and go to that box and see how the student did. And that's kind of a pain. So I wouldn't suggest that you use Flubaroo where forms have those mixed responses. You want to stick to strictly multiple choice. That's my suggestion. But once these are done, what you can do is you go back to add-ons, you go to Flubaroo, and you can say email grades. And it'll actually email the grades directly to the student. They know what their grade is. Of course, their username here doubles as their email because that was collected automatically. You can even include the answer key, and you could write a short response and say, hey, everybody, good job, or whatever you want to do. You say continue, and it actually emails that to them. They know what they got. They know which ones they missed. They know what the right answers were. So this provides a really great, easy, formative assessment, or even more summative if you don't mind that students were obviously going to use the internet and their books to complete that quiz. So I hope that you play around with Flubaroo a little bit. This video ran a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I think Flubaroo makes a lot of sense. I don't get to use it as often as I would like to. As an ELA teacher, I can't find things where we have those really multiple choice type questions to use, but I think it's a great tool, and I hope that you use it in the future. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.